What's up, YouTube, and what's up, Purple Fam? It's your mans here, Purple X Fox, back with another Apex Legends video. This video will rank all the legends from the worst to the best, centered around ranked play. These bases are made for a casual player to a diamond player and potentially even masters players. I realized from my research that much of the rankings and tier lists are made to reflect the pro scene. As many of us would love to be a professional Apex player, we just are not. And from realizing this and reflecting back onto what a general player will go through in a ranked match, I have went through and ranked these legends in tiers from D, C, B to A being number 1, and also ranking them overall throughout all of the legends by following these guidelines. 1, their ability, and how useful is this ability to the squad and to the legend themselves. Number 2, their hitbox. Recently, to the thanks of the gaming merchant, by finding the hitbox sizes and giving this information out to the community, it has allowed myself and others to decide on, is this legend worth it based off of their hitbox size. Along with number 3, the overall effectiveness for a team. Now, if your main legend is not here, where you find fit in the list, be sure to comment below. Let me know why you think this legend should be elsewhere on the list, because I'm interested to see how the community sees the legends in a different light. And now to start the rankings and the list, Mirage, starting at tier D. He falls within this lowest tier because of his abilities. He is by far the most selfish legend in regards to his abilities. His abilities only benefit himself, whereas Apex is such a team-oriented game. It does not work for most players. As well, with this and his limitation to abilities, Mirage has the 4th largest hitbox of 141,089 pixels, right behind Revenant. Next is Revenant in the tier D rank. This is because so far in Season 4, his abilities have basically been useless. Be sure to check out the upcoming potential reworks in my last video of Revenant to see how Revenant could get better and move up through this list. But as of right now, his only ability that is in any way beneficial at this point is his stalking ability, and this doesn't help anything to do with his teammates. This is specifically just for him. His death totem puts players at a disadvantage when pushing with the reduced health and relieves Revenant with no effective abilities at this point. As mentioned above, Revenant is now the 3rd largest legend with a hitbox size of 146,946 pixels. This is huge for a legend that has essentially no benefit for himself or his squad. And last in the tier D is Octane. Octane is the adrenaline junkie, speed demon loony who is insanely fun to play with. I have always been a huge fan of Octane, but unfortunately he just does not cut it when coming to ranked play. With his stim, he is a good way to recover banners and get away from bad fights really fast, but other than that, his abilities are limited. His launch pad is situational and is all depending on the players using it properly. Many of the times his launch pad launches you in different direction and is very hard to control and almost uncontrollable when in the air. Pathfinder and Wraith, which we'll talk about later, are much more effective with this and their abilities to be more precise and more efficient at mobilizing players than his launch pad. Now, Octane does have an advantage in the sense that his hitbox is sized at 119,972 pixels, which is kind of in the middle of ranking all the hitbox sizes of the legends. Which, another issue that has come along with his hitbox is that he seems like a smaller character, but the community says that Octane's hitbox is broken, and so this is a big issue that is coming about and potentially a bug that can be fixed because it seems to be too large for his body that is seemingly a smaller character. Now moving up to tier C are legends that are useful but tend to see less of them in the ranked play because they are more difficult to use properly. Coming in at number 9 on the list overall, and also winding up in tier C, is Bloodhound. Bloodhound is my OG main legend. Bloodhound's newest buff has been a must need for Bloodhound players, and the community has been calling for it. His scan now reaches much further, which is beneficial, but in Apex, this can be a dead giveaway to a team you scan. When you're approaching, the scan comes in one direction and can give away your position of the direction that you're coming to the team that you end up scanning. This eliminates the element of surprise in an attack that can be such a crucial advantage in a fight. Bloodhound is a great team player, again by using the scan and allowing his teammates to see enemies for a brief few seconds. His hitbox now is right in the middle of the pack, so this again limits him. And his pixels are at 123,459 pixels. This seems reasonable for his size and not to be broken, kinda like Octane, but can be an issue when trying to hide throughout the map. Next in Tier C is Krypto, coming in towards the middle of rank. Krypto falls within this Tier C rank because of his abilities of using his drone can be very, very difficult, but they can be extremely effective. This effectiveness has a large skill gap for players that use him properly. Krypto allows for a well-organized push, if used properly, can also retrieve banners from a far distance, and can remotely loot to see if anything is in the general area that you would be interested in instead of wasting your time pushing there. His drone can open loot boxes, can open doors in the buildings and such to look for this loot. Now his hitbox is again middle of the road like Bloodhound, being sized at 111,868 pixels. Watson, the electrified lady. A legend that seems in Season 4 has made her way into many players' endgame metas. She is the last legend on the Tier C rank because of this, as she is very effective in endgame to hunker down and claim a position in the center of the circle as other squads duke it out to get to their positioning. She does not have a whole lot of use in any other point throughout the game. One could argue that her interception pylon is a useful mid-game, which it can be, and I see this argument, but 8 out of 10 circumstances this is not going to be of use. It is very difficult to actually have this of use. With her sitting at 110,563 pixels, she is just slightly larger than Krypto. This leaves her more vulnerable to a hit by attacking players. Sixth on the overall list, and to start Tier B, is the psychopath, death-loving Caustic. Caustic is a sick scientist that loves gas. He loves gas. Caustic is in the position because he is in the second largest legend, coming in at 150,224 pixels is where the heavyweight weighs in at. This is just slightly larger than Revenant's, but Caustic's abilities can be mucho beneficial to his squad. His gas traps are a nuisance to players attacking. They can be used to hold off pushes, temporarily cut off pinch points, and also trap/herd players into unideal positions. His gas grenade is also essential because it's a great way to finish off players who you have knocked and are looking to thirst, going through the motto of kill, 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 no mercy. The rugged Nita Williams, also known as Bangalore, who comes in at 5th overall and lands herself in the middle of Tier B rank. Because Bangalore is such an extremely effective legend who can help cover her teammates with her Rolling Thunder, which drops rockets on her enemies, and her smoke launcher that can cause absolute mayhem in confined areas. These abilities can allow her to effectively cover a teammate to revive, remove enemies from an area or an area to loot, and in endgame, it takes major damage on players in the final circles because of such a small area. Bangalore comes in at 105,739 pixels in her hitbox size, making her the second smallest legend to hit. Next is Lifeline, the guardian angel to many squads. Lifeline's ability allows her to revive teammates quicker, along with healing herself quicker as well. Lifeline falls as a Tier B legend because in the heat of combat, it is maybe very hard to revive a teammate and use her ability effectively. Along with recent updates to Gibby, Gibby can now use his dome effectively, the same as Lifeline's drone. When comparing Lifeline's ability and Gibraltar's right away, Gibby wins every time, which is why players are not using her as much as recent. One advantage she does have on Gibby is that her hitbox size, which is 110,014 pixels, in comparison to Gibby's whopping 203,396 pixel hitbox, which is enormous. So before moving into Gibby, we want to start with the tier A top 3 legends, that in any combination of these legends, at least one of these legends should be in your squad at all times. Starting with Pathfinder at number 3 overall as the best legend in Apex Legends. The reason is because Pathfinder can be considered a selfish player, but with his zipline's efficiency to move teammates to position that are not reachable, that makes him so much more effective because these positions are so much more superior in any part of the game. Pathfinder can move flawlessly across the map with a well-used grapple, and he is simply the simplest legend to learn. In my opinion, there's no other legend in comparison that is just so easy to learning. His hitbox size comes in at 107,897 pixels, which is in comparison to the other legends is one of the smaller legends, to be honest. And now to Gibby. Being number 2 on the overall list as the best legend in Apex Legends, even though Gibby's hitbox is so large, like we mentioned earlier when we were talking about Lifeline, his abilities and teammate effectiveness outweigh this in my opinion. His dome is potentially the most effective ability for him. His dome allows him to protect from artillery, his or Bangalore's, in his own other Gibby's bombardment, is also effective in using his dome to pick his teammates up faster, like Lifeline's drone. And not to mention his gun shield that just absolutely enrages me. Last but not least, Wraith, coming in at number 1 overall on the list in the tier A rank. Wraith has the ability to help herself by using her phase ability to get out of sticky situations, but also by using her dimensional rift to teleport herself and teammates into attacking positions, kinda like Pathfinder, but also by retreating from a push, moving into a push, and or getting better position in the beginning, middle, or end of the game. Along with her abilities, her position to make herself more difficult because of her passive. She also is the smallest in hitbox size at 95,997 pixels, being the only legend that is under 100,000 pixels.
No way you get star.
No! Are you fucked? Wait! Bangalore, hit my portal. Sorry. I can get picked up back here.
Right here.
Good fucking pick. Chuck, you just stay alive, you dirty son of a bitch.
That's all you gotta do. I got gold back too.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm healing real quick.
Stuck.
Gold on no, I think it's only him. I think it's only
No, there's two.
No, it's still 3
No,
it's still 3 squads left. It's still 3.
Oh.
I got them pinned, bro.
Yep.
Knocked one.
Not killed Wraith. That team's
Nice,
dead. I don't know who the other team is. Dude, we are shitting them. On me. Up here somewhere. He's choking a PK. Be careful.
Go yeet. Question mark, give me a kill.
Dead. That's it. Don't even bother. Dead. Good shit, baby.
Fuck yeah. Way to eat, boys.
Money, bro. PK, dude, let's get it, boys. Let's fucking get it.
Dude.
Yo, this is